right, happy Monday. It's week 42, 2024. Post Chicago Marathon already, leading into another major coming up, New York City in a few weeks. Got a bunch of you doing that. Some of you, especially the runners in this group, are hitting their pace workouts very nicely. Everybody's coming along. It's going to be, I think, another great time there in New York City. Hope the weather is just as seasonable as it's been. Nice and cool out. It's going to make for some awesome times out there. I think the dust has settled now since the Jones Beach half, and I've reached out to a bunch of you. Got a couple more to go here, and just kind of seeing where everybody's at. I think I have a nice idea now after speaking with everybody. What we're going to be doing, moving into the end of the year, who's going to be doing base building, who's going to be staying on board for that one-on-one coaching, who has plans to come back for their races next year, just so I know about how many people are going to be here, just so I know how many spots, if any, are going to open up for anybody else as the requests are rolling in for 2025 coaching right now. So if we haven't spoken about it as far as 2025 or post your A-race goals, especially some of the runners coming up, reach out so I can figure out, or know what your plan is, or if you just want to talk about it after the race, that's fine too. Let's get that race done and out of the way. It's just nice to know, what is on the other side of that race. Some people have now finished their races for the year. There's nothing left on the calendar, and it's blank. That's all you got. So that goes into the off season, whether you're doing that yourself or you're looking for some guidance in that. The only thing I will say again about the off-season stuff, and this is why it's very important to talk about it, and there's going to be plenty of, this going to be brought up week after week, is, again, a lot of people are worried about this post-race blues, losing fitness, things like that. Remember, whatever event you finished at, whether it was a marathon, a half Ironman, half marathon, whatever it is, use the fitness you have to have some fun as your training load lightens, but also being able to test your ability at distances that are shorter than that. Like this past weekend, I did a local duathlon. I hadn't done it in a bunch of years. It's an awesome local race. It was a very short, high-intensity race, and I was like, curious to see where my fitness level was at for that type of race. Just like coming out of marathon season, go, you can come down and maybe sign up for a late last-minute half marathon before the end of the year, or start getting to some of those local races, 5Ks, 10Ks, and just staying active and staying pushing and having things on the calendar. And, it's just nice to not look at that grand goal all the time of, long course endurance stuff. You can still have a lot of fun at that short course stuff, and it's very important to do that short course stuff because that's where a lot of data gets collected, and I can look back at times and see if, the effort you put into that 5K, 10K, 5 or 10 miler for running fit into the zones that you're in right now, or did you run faster than we thought, and now your fitness is there, so now we need to readjust some zones. And even that comes down to, even if we're just going to be doing testing, it might give you a little bit of time off from after your big race, get into some base building, and then we're going to test again, because don't be concerned if some of your pace values, your heart rate data is a little different than when you were building into or at the peak of your A race. It's fine. Things change. That's why we test. You can't peak and then take time off and then jump back in right at where you think all your intensity zones were when you were peaked up and had a lot of fitness for your races, and get back into what those race pace workouts were for leading into that big race. Unfortunately, that's just not how the way endurance fitness works. It does have some peaks and valleys, but the goal with a very important off season is to come back stronger, healthier, and a little more fit than we did at the year season before, because as you go through that next building plan for whatever race it is or whatever distance you have going, will take you to that next level, and you'll be able to have that nice performance and that PR and keep progressing year after year. And it's all about that consistency and the importance of that intensity, which can get very muddied and back to that gray area in the off season. So it's still very important to separate the two. And if you're doing less volume, you're unfortunately going to do a little bit less intensity, because you still don't want to upset that balance and just fatigue yourself out or potentially hurt yourself. But there's plenty of time in the off season to work on some things that we need to strengthen, especially for the triathletes, whether it be swim, bike, or run. You can spend some more time in that. And then it also brings me to Another thing that I heard was it's called organize your garage. And now, why do I say that? Not just because I just literally in real life just organized my garage this past weekend, but this is for life, for training, for anything. When you're going through the season, you're going through the training block, you're going through this, especially if you're newer at the sport for your first season or two, and you just added so many layers of things and gear and nutrition and recovery and all this stuff is just you cramming it all in to this training plan, into this calendar, into this cycle of building that you now got to your race and it's done. Now what? Now it's time to organize the garage. And what do I mean by that? You've probably stuffed so much into this and you're like, I don't think there's any, you have to analyze what you put in there. So what I mean by that is take everything out, clean it out, that space, that training space. You can do this in life too. Anytime you get a little overwhelmed with certain things is, we're talking figuratively speaking here where you're pulling everything out of that training garage, right? And now we're going to put back, what does a dirty garage look like? Let's put it that way. I go running sometimes and I look and I see people's garage doors open and I'm like, what the hell is going on inside there? Like there's just crap everywhere. And that's not like it for me. And you can organize that so well and make more space, make more room for things that, that need to go in there or things that need to be more accessible. And you do that in your training space as well. So you take everything out. You analyze what you've put in there. You're looking at it now. And then you start putting back the things that are important to you. You start organizing things a little bit better. And what I mean by all that is look at all the training you did. Looking for the triathletes, swim, bike, run. Look what you've done in swimming. What worked for you? Put that in the forefront. Continue to work on those things. Same with the biking and the running. What type of things, were you good at? What type of things now are not going to serve the purpose of, things you might have put in there or certain aspects of your training or some gear, anything like that, that just didn't work for you that year, nutritional wise, and just, you got to dispose of it. Keep working with what is working for you and keep it at the forefront. And what can you do with a really, really, unorganized training garage, this space of all your stuff, in your head is, make it really nice so that we can have more room for next season to put new things in there. New things you're going to learn, new things that you're going to try. Different levels now. Every season we're going to add a little bit more if you stay on board, as far as like we know what your garage was able to hold this past year. If you were able to organize it properly leading into the next season, we can really start to dig in and add some more things that are going to work for you, maybe some more race pace workouts. We've now seen what your body can handle volume wise. Were you injury prone and we need to change some things up and focus on more strength? Or were you very resilient in your ability to handle the fatigue that we put on you? And I think maybe you can handle even a little more now. Did we leave a little space in that garage where you still felt at the end of your training cycle, I feel like I could have stuffed a little bit more in there? Or if life and training were just so clogged up that you just couldn't fit any other sessions in there, you were missing sessions because you couldn't fit them in your garage, if you want to have a successful season next year, you need to organize that space now. You need to make some more room right now, and you need to be able to ask yourself, can I organize this enough to be able to fit the training blocks that I need and the things that are going to work for me to get to my next goal for that next season? And you'll be surprised if you take this approach, what you can really do. Don't just keep throwing things into it and not reanalyzing what's working and not working for you. Because if we're able to flip the switch and just become more efficient in the way that we go about things, it's going to make that much of a difference for you, and you're going to have that much more success year after year, season after season for yourself. So I ask you, while you have a little more time now, even if this is writing things down and just writing something out that just shows what worked for you this year. What are some things you tried that didn't work for you? So you can remember that to not have to implement them again. Or what are some things that you tried to implement, but you didn't have some room at the time, some things that just weren't, didn't have the space in that garage there that we were talking about to fit them in, so that you can now maybe try it next time and make some more space for that. And you'll be surprised again at how much you could really fit into this space. And, you can use this methodology for just your own life when things get crazy or out of hand, whether it's family, work, whatever. You can always pull everything out, put things back that are at the utmost importance for you, and continue on with that, and always make a little more room. Things can always be neater. I'm constantly, literally in the real world, pulling things apart, reorganizing, restructuring, doing things. That's just how you build, and you build as a person, and you build in any aspect of anything you do in your life. Is just to continually analyze things, change things, but keep going in the progression of things that work. If you have a nutrition or a fueling plan that works, keep with it, stick with it, modify it very slightly, and just stick on the path of things that work. If you're going down this road of success and something that's working for you, why are you going to make a sharp left turn or right turn and try something new all of a sudden if it's working for you? And same thing on the flip side of that. If you're constantly going down this road of, if this isn't working, that isn't working, are you giving it enough time to see if it even is working? Or are you looking for that magic pill or that magic piece of equipment that's just all of a sudden going to make everything okay? So these are things. Take notes, analyze. This is the time of year to kind of break it all down. Take a deep breath. You have some room and time in your calendar. You don't have to be so crazy about it, just hitting the sessions over and over again, leading to that race day. And then and that's really all I got for today. So again, this is just a nice little a video, a nice little note I wanted to throw out there to everybody. Again, week 42, it's crazy. We're headed mid-October. It's crazy that we're going to be getting towards the end of the year here. This is really turning into a good season weather-wise for running, training, all that. So I implore you now to start coming up with some end of year races you want to do. I'm going to eventually, probably in the next week or so, put out what I plan on doing from now through the end of the year and maybe into January. Some local stuff to see if I can spark any interest on anybody and maybe get some of you to show up at those races as well. And if not, don't feel like you have to race, but definitely keep up with the consistency. It's also another video, an idea that I'm coming up with is, how consistency has helped me over the past few years. Just keep chipping away at the block every time I show up on the starting line, and how I, use consistency to my advantage to be able to keep building race after race, season after season, and trying to progress out there versus myself and the times that I'm able to put down. So again, I hope everyone is having an awesome week. New York City marathoners, you're heading into the final couple weeks here. It's pretty awesome to watch that, running, just that solo sport as a whole, watching people progress. It's such a, it's awesome that I can actually, just see that. And, I'm seeing in just about every one of the runners right now in this group. And it's something, again, you're all in on it because, we're trusting each other. We're a team in this. When somebody's there pointing you in the right direction, you don't want to let them down. I don't want to let you down by giving you, the right plan and the right structure to do it. But I hope you're starting to see the results yourself. If not, I ask you to take a quick pause and look back at maybe where you started at the beginning of this plan, or some past races, because I have some past times before, I was coaching with you, and you're basically, a lot of you, hitting those cases in training at what you used to race at, and that's pretty awesome. So I think some of you are going to have an awesome day out there. And, just self-reflect on how far you've come, how, great you've done during this training block and this cycle, and continue to build towards that A race this year. And hopefully good weather gods will be on our side. Remember, control the controllables. You're all putting in the work. Race day is what it is, but that's part of the sport of endurance, is dealing with any adversity that's going to come at us out there on the run course. So everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, keep balancing that life 1 mile at a time, and I'll talk to you all soon.